What's up, everybody? This is Edward back with another video. And today I want to have a quick conversation about self improvement. So, shout out to Doug. And I hope I'll say this periodically, but if Doug is listening, I definitely would like him to hop on so we can have a conversation. He probably won't, not because I'm trying to play him, but probably doesn't have time. This is impromptu, and we'll see where that goes. But he made some very interesting comments, and I'll probably go over them in a little bit. As far as some of the inconsistencies and hypocrisies with some content creators in pertaining to improvement. So make sure you come in, liking, sharing, subscribing if you don't know me. Make sure you also make your voice heard in the comment section. And this is gonna be a little interactive. So here we go. So first of all, and I'll say some of these things over and over and over again. First of all, here's the deal. One of the things that people make this stuff unnecessarily complicated, and it's funny because people will say I'm the king of making something complicated, but the reality is dudes are interpreting things from an emotional standpoint, a subjective standpoint. They don't even understand that. Whenever in the Black community, when we say, I feel you, that is pretty much saying it doesn't matter what logically you're saying. It just matters that you emotionally resonate with it. And this is part of, as a people, why we continue to circle the wagons and not really progress like we should. Even dudes that are more well-to-do in groups, we don't tend to work well together as far as being competitive and getting what we want, because we still operate from an emotional base too much. This is part of having the zeitgeist of a female. And you see this in the improvement debate. It's really not a debate. I don't know anybody that is outwardly saying I should not have to improve. I should not have to improve to get a bad bitch, or to quote unquote get a 7 or above. Hell, a 6 or above. I don't see that. I have not heard that. And what I'm asking is, anybody in the comment section, anybody that's listening, and I'll say this probably a couple more times, and what's everybody in the chat, I need you all to kind of give me examples of content creators that are saying that. Because people say that and they put that out in the ether, and it's like this fucking magical straw man that people are talking about. Oh, these niggas, they don't want to improve, so they just bitching and crying and complaining. They out here just complaining, and they don't want to do that, which is really code for niggas ain't shit, which is pretty much a traitorous talking point. It really is. It's traitorous talking points, because the reality is, and this is one thing I'll give Glendon Cameron a lot of credit for. Glendon Cameron doesn't really go at hotels, but he'll be very clear that his channel is not for hotep Negroes or for Negroes that try to use white supremacy as an excuse. He has a very low tolerance for men, people, anybody, but particularly Black men, because that only Black men are talking about white supremacy. Only Black people talk about white supremacy. That will use white supremacy as a impediment to elevate yourself in this society. He thinks personally that's some childish shit. And the reality is, BGS in many ways will actually concur with that, because BGS has actually said white supremacy is over. What you're dealing with is the remnants of it. Yeah, what up? Yeah, thank God it's Friday. What up, Sigma? Yeah, I actually closed on some stuff, so I'm really excited. If you want to hop on, definitely hop on and let me know, because I'm gonna talk for a hot second and then we'll get into it. But I hear these motherfuckers talk about people that don't want to improve. I have not heard anybody say that shit, or that people, they just complaining. This is a way to shut down a conversation. The reality is, people have a right to complain. You don't have to fucking be around people that quote unquote complain. Nobody's asking you, and I'm talking about anybody that would say this, to be around motherfuckers that complain. I don't give a fuck if people listen to me. And if people want to interpret as what I'm saying is complaining, then so fucking be it. Feel free to unfucking subscribe. Shout out to Don Day S, who listens every once in a while, but he unsubscribed because he felt like, oh, you're talking about women too much. This is, again, I've said this before and I've said this again. That is a way It's just like when a pastor used to say, pray about it, or you're not with the Lord enough. That's why you don't have what you have. It is a way to shut down a conversation and try to redirect it into what they want it to be. And this is why BGS just did a 47-minute video where he was talking about, you know, the blue pill rise and how people are trying to come back and kind of re-inject motherfuckers with the quote unquote blue pill vaccine. And part of that is misdirection. This is why when you usually get these dudes online one-on-one, the shit they talking is not the same shit. It's really not the same shit that they talk when they're doing their videos on their own. Even like shout out to, I was on Obsidian's platform and I'm cool with it. I didn't change up the shit I was talking about. That's why some of it he disagreed. It didn't fit with what he wanted, but that's not what I'm there for. And it wasn't that I really disagree with anything. It was just a caveats. And at the end of the day, you know, a lot of times when these guys are talking about improvement, this is what's funny. A lot of these guys are the same guys that will frown upon black men using overwhelming economic force to basically crush other black men, basically using big bank versus little bank, and basically using that as a weapon to basically you know, beyond equalize any other attributes that other black men have. They don't believe in that. They believe in manipulating a bitch out of her drawers because that somehow proves you're a man. And this is how they look at improvement. They do not really look at improvement as far as how you move through the world. They look at improvement as your ability to get a bitch. And I'm like, you got homosexuals that can get a bitch. That don't mean they all of that. You got niggas living up. You got a lot of black men that live up under black women in Section 8 and shit like that. They can convince a bitch to fuck them. That doesn't mean that their ability to move through the world is all of that. Because if you take a bitch away from them, where they can snuggle up under, a lot of these dudes ain't shit. And that's not necessarily all these dudes that are talking from content creators that are saying that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, what a lot of guys don't understand is your center of who you are is based of too many black men base who they are by what a bitch thinks. Too many of y'all. And a lot of y'all don't understand that is just like the elephant in the chair, where the chair is not even bolted down, but because the elephant believes it is, the elephant doesn't go anywhere. What's up, Thinking Man's Templar? This is why a lot of these dudes, when people talk about going overseas, y'all should all subscribe to Thinking Man Simplar as well as MOT. Like these dudes, it's like there is no self-awareness. A bitch has to tell them who they are. And you see that in everything that you see that in a lot of what they say. And the thing about it is anybody will tell you that I'm very passionate about self-improvement. I'm very passionate in the details. I have a journal. Like there's actually a video called on, if you YouTube Refuse to Settle and then how to make a journal. It's actually a really good way, a really cool way. It's not so diary bullshit, but a man's way of actually doing a journal and like really putting together notes and stuff. I have packed into that. I have spent thousands of dollars. I've spent a lot more money than any of these niggas talking this shit on self-improvement. I've got the books to back it up. I've gone to conferences on my own time before YouTube, before any of that shit. That's what, and I still go to. I still go to that. This is why when you see me recommend people, that is, but what do you think? Why the fuck do you all think I recommend Erica? Like seriously, why do you think I recommend her? Why do you think she always comes out of my mouth on this channel? I don't get paid from her. I don't get nothing from her. You don't see her come on this shit. I mean, you see her as in the chat. So, I mean, when you see her. So, I mean, and I do appreciate that because I know, coming to Niggerville and I need to go back to the suburbs where she's fucking at, where the grown-ups are. But I recommend her because I want to point you all in the direction of people that can get you from point A to point B the fastest and simplest as possible. That's why. When I was first listening to Erica, I didn't know as much about credit as I did. I knew I needed to know more. And Glendon I actually found Erica way before I found Glendon, and Glendon has some really good shit too. But Glendon is like for the big boys. You got to be ready to go see Glendon, you know, because you got to, you know, have your money ready because of stuff he's talking about. But Erica is very simplified. This was right after I really was listening to Rich Dad and Poor Dad, and pretty much her videos were short, quick, to the point, and they made it happen. This is a big reason why I've never fucking understood why Boyce went with certain people, Cynthia G, and not others. I remember back then earlier in his channel, and I've always looked at him funny style for that shit. Because I'm like, okay, this is what you're about. This is somebody that fits it. Why aren't you promoting them? If for anything else, to actually help you do work where you don't have to be there. But whatever, that's a whole nother story. My point is, I point to you these people in passing is because these people I've seen are very capable of hell, fuck. Even if, first of all, yes, you should buy their products and services. That's not what I'm saying. But even their YouTube channels is actually more valuable than the shit that a lot of shit you can pay for. Like you go in their channels and you actually type in fixed credit or this and that, and it'll actually game you up on what you need to know to make an informed decision to make things down. I used to have a judgment. I used to have it was a couple of things I used to have based on me making mistakes when I was younger, and I was able to rewrite a lot of that shit based on listening to these people. So when it comes to improvement, I'm very passionate about that. You know, I'm very passionate about Black people, not just men, women too, but people taking control of what they need to fucking do and having a very good line of sight of how to do it. But what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to basically say you ain't shit. And that's any reflection on people treating you like you're subhuman, basically. I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to allow people to use self-improvement as a weapon to do that. I'm just not. And and just like how, I'll give you a perfect example. I know Black women that date white men because they're built in such a, they're gorgeous Black women, but they're built in such a way that Black men I'm not going to say they're not attracted to them, but they don't have the same kickback because they're built kind of like Iman. It's not that they ain't got no ass or nothing like that, but that's not like their defining traits and stuff. So as a result, they're built. And when I say Iman, you know, the model David Bowie's married to. They have no issues with Black men, but they're going to date men. In fact, Glendon Cameron has a video called The New Black Girl. You all should take a look at that video. And this is why when I tell y'all, I wouldn't tell her to basically, well, you need to do what you need to do for the race. And you need to, you know, find a Black man. Now, granted, I'll probably suggest, hey, you got there's other groups of dudes that you might want to think about as far as just, you know, throwing that in passing. But I'm not gonna impress that upon somebody. But I'll throw the options out there because maybe they'll take it, maybe they won't. It is what it is. But I'm not gonna like shame nobody into that. I don't do that. Now, there's a difference between you talking shit and you saying I date this because of this and whatever. That's two different things. But my point is, you know, I'm not going to say you're subpar and that's why Black men don't want you. That's not what I'm going to say. And it's the same thing in reverse. Because part of this that nobody talks about, the biggest thing that people need to improve on, regardless of gender, is your inner game. Your inner conversation with yourself, your mindset. Anybody will tell you in every metric of quality of life. And I'm going to tell you, somebody I don't mention that I need to mention a hell of a lot more is Myron Golden. But he doesn't have a lot of videos on YouTube. But every video he has on YouTube, in fact, I have a playlist. That dude is the dude. That dude is the epitome of what a pastor should be. He's not even a pastor. But if he was, and he was in a mega church, I would give him a lot of money. Because he could give an atheist a college education, an MBA education on business out of the Bible, even if you don't believe in God. That's how good he is. He is literally like the Christian version of BGS, except for business. I've never seen somebody be able to rip actual economics out of the Bible as well as he can and actually be kind of a Christian, but an agnostic to it as well. I've never seen somebody that good at doing that. And then you listen to one of his videos, just one, and you'll know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. I don't give a fuck what video it is. Google Myron Golden, listen to him, any video. That's how kinetically impact he is. A lot of y'all that may have an issue with Boyce and be like, Boyce don't come out a certain way. This dude is literally, if Boyce was like this, it would be game over. It really would. This dude would be the next Dr. Claude Anderson if he was that good. And I'll take this dude. I understand Boyce has an economics thing, but I'll take him over him in a heartbeat. And I'm not really looking at the chat. I'm just kind of talking. But my point is, you know, the conversation that we're having in a manosphere is not the same conversation. That's why when you go over there where Andre is, where Mark Witten is, where Erica is, where all of them dude, that's a whole block of black folks that are just talking about business. You really don't see a lot of the nigga shit over there because it's not the same conversation. So that stuff is there, and that area is actually just as big as Black YouTube. In fact, is larger than the manosphere. So when people talk about, and that's more dealing with finances, real estate, Black people doing stuff. I mean, you could go over there and never actually see some of the shit that comes on here. The reason why I'm here is because at the end of the day, there's stuff under all of that. Because a lot of those people are like middle class, upper middle class. That whenever I tell you the 60% ain't gonna make it and it's gonna be like 40%, those other people are kind of in that really more top 10% or 20%, but they're in that bracket and they're gonna be all right. But the rest of y'all, and when I say y'all, I'm talking about the folks that we know the majority of us are operating on, it's off this back and forth bullshit. Because at the end of the day, we don't have a balance of, well, people need to do what's in their own best interest. So how can we come together to actually create something that's mutually beneficial? It's this, I'm going to get you and you get me. And Black men have been cool with that shit. Or what they'll do is they'll just ghost out and deal with a more mixed kind of situation. But coming back to the improvement bullshit, at the end of the day, man, I am far more passionate about actually self-improvement than a lot of these dudes that try to sell you that shit. And they never get specific. That's another reason why they annoy me too. You know, I'm giving you names. I'm not telling you to listen to me. I'm telling you, if you want finances, you go to this person, you go to this person. If you want this, you go to this person, you go to that person. That's what I'm saying. And I've done that throughout my whole channel. I'm not sitting here just saying, listen to me and blah, blah, blah. I'm just a librarian. I'm telling you, if you want, you know, when it comes to like a lot of this stuff, esoteric stuff, when it comes to relationships and history, BGS. I've said it. The same thing with Ron. So when people get the idea that, but you know, yeah, man, well, you're talking against self-improvement. No, I'm not talking against self-improvement. I'm talking against niggas that are trying to hustle, man. That's what I'm talking against. I'm talking against dudes that want to brag on their dick. Dudes that want to brag on their dick. And quite frankly, these dudes ain't even proven a lot of that they fucking the bitches they talking about. And quite frankly, I get annoyed by constantly having the conversation when it comes to fucking bitches. That shit is not some shit I want to talk about all the fucking time. But at the end of the day, that's where the majority of Black men are. And what other groups, this is what other groups understand. What other races and ethnic groups understand is they usually basically give dudes a pussy supply in order to shut that conversation down so these dudes can focus on some of the shit. That's what they usually do. They say, okay, let's solve this problem, just like how you would solve the problem of people not having enough food to eat. And then we can worry about actually what we need to do to compete to get what we want. Or they will create policies that basically create attributes to allow that to happen. And that's not every group, but you get what I'm saying. Some groups do it with just out here on the street. Some groups do it by assigning women to dudes. It is what it is. But they understand that this is a problem. If this energy is not directed the right way, it's going to be directed too much in chasing something at the expense of actually building. But people don't really think about that and they don't understand that. So I just wanted to put that out there, man, because a lot of this confusion with some people are on one hand, you know, they're talking about improvement, but on the other hand, they're asking for tips and they're doing this. No, that's not what people are saying. Nobody is out here really saying, I don't believe I have to improve. That's not what nobody's saying. No Black men are out here saying they deserve 8s, 7s, 8s, 9s, and 10s and they can be not a guy. They can be not worth a damn. They ain't nobody saying that shit. And nobody can ever produce, anybody that has outwardly said that shit. Now, I can produce to you niggas that when it comes to talking about business, all of a sudden now we're having a white supremacy conversation. Yeah, I can produce those motherfuckers because we hear them every day. But y'all can't produce to me, and I'm serious about that. Y'all need to subscribe to these people because these people, you only got certain bandwidth. But anyway, y'all can't produce to me somebody that's outwardly said, Tommy, shut the fuck up. Nobody can produce to me somebody that's actually made a video talking about that shit. I don't get it. Now, you do hear in reverse folks saying that you should, that women saying, take me as I am. Take me as I am is a black female argument. You've never heard black men say that. And this is why black men are known to have the least standards, whereby our women are known to have the most. Just saying. Anyway, let's see who's in here. What's up, Kwame? What's up, MOT? My ice is colder. The True Light, Thinking Man Simpler, I already said it. The Roger Report. Oh, what's up? What's up, Erica? At least I big you up, when you're not around. Yep. No, absolutely, man. For real. Cause I don't think y'all really, I mean that. I'm not just saying that, dude. I trade in information. I know what's good, what's not. I know what's called evergreen, meaning it always can matter, and it's stuff that needs to be current. I'm telling you, like, before you buy anything from anybody, and it's not just credit. Honestly, when it comes to land, I'm gonna keep it real with you. One of the now I knew of her channel a little bit before, but I didn't really start getting her channel until I went to this guy by the name of Peter Harris. This is a black guy that if you type in commercial real estate for dummies, he wrote the For Dummies book, and he actually teaches everybody, but six-figure earners, how to transition into commercial real estate. And then when I really heard Erica talk about land and stuff, and then she was out of North Carolina, that's when I started more intently listening to her channel. So I'm telling y'all, man, if y'all are for real about this shit, these are certain people, and I'm not just saying that. Well, I mean, there's understand something. I can give you a long list. I can actually give you a list. I'm pretty sure I could put together a list of about 100 females, black women, like 80% of them are ADOS that you should be looking at. It's that many. So again, the thing when you hear me talk about on this channel is more about the culture issue and really how we allow that shit to happen as black men. So it's a couple of people. It's quite a few. Anyway, what is the thing meant to crazy? As soon as we started talking about expanding our horizons, the whole black male internet crashed. I guess they figured we were supposed to talk about black female fucker forever stay the movement. Exactly, Thinking Man Simpler. And a lot of dudes don't understand. Look, for the females that actually know how to act, and when I say know how to act, they have a good it's like having a relationship with money. It's either positive or it's negative. Like, I just closed a deal, so I'm flush with cash. Now I could be like, oh, it's time to buy a whole bunch of shit. I actually just found out a couple of things when it comes to my finances that are a lot more than what I thought. And I can be like, yeah, man, it's time to start wilding out because, you got to spend it where you get it. No, because I have a good relationship with money. It's same thing with a lot of our women don't have a good relationship with the concept of a black man. I don't give a fuck why they don't. And I say why I don't give a fuck why is because your reflection of your reality doesn't matter about if you think it's right or not. What matters is because if you have a bad relationship with men, then it's kind of like the what do they call it? The the law of attraction. You attract to you. And then dudes are going to eventually talk about moving on. But like I said, the females that know how to act, they're never going to have nothing to worry about. And I'm going to tell you something. When I say know how to act, I'm not even necessarily talking about they got to be necessarily fuckable. Cause you know, like you just gotta know how to act from a cooperative standpoint. That's it. That's really it. I mean, seriously. So those women are gonna be all right. I mean, they'll be, and I'm talking about with productive dudes. I ain't talking with bro. So those dudes already know they're not gonna have a problem. So that's why you don't hear me talk about the others, because it's real. They're gonna be all right. Let me see. When it comes to dating, the idea of a black man having to self-improve is being presented as if black men are beneath black women and we have to get to their level. No, bitch, please. Yeah, Archer is absolutely right. And Archer, decided to give a little bit more insight into, his dating. I mean, and where he is. He's dated nine of those women. I mean, think about it. Everybody trying to say Archer ain't shit, but Archer got 2 babies. So clearly it's just funny, man. It really is. I mean, the community is not born out of niggas that improve their way to getting pussy. Like, that's what kills me about when that's presented. And at the end of the day, I'm all for, but black men need to improve. Black men need to improve whether they're getting pussy or not. Well, I don't know. I mean, me personally, I've never, and I think most black men, if you're saying something that's substantial that can actually help somebody out, most black men are not chauvinists like other races. Like, if our women are saying some shit, we're gonna listen. We're not gonna be like, you're a woman, so be quiet. If they saying some shit that we need to know, we want to know, we're gonna listen. So we've never had that problem. That's why when a lot of times when that gets projected onto us from like white society, we're like, good and goddamn well that shit doesn't go down in black society like that. But see, the women can't say that they have the best of something, the keys. You need to get gas. Okay. Yeah, I'm starting to believe boys is about clicks too. Well, I'm not even. I'm just saying, this is not so much about the women. This is more about, a lot of these dudes that keep on carrying water, saying shit as if we weren't in like this. A lot of us ain't even OGs. But it's time to move on. And it's time to move on with the women that know how to act right. That is ADOS. And it's time to kind of change the conversation. This is why I disagreed a little bit with Obsidian. I said, yes, there needs to be people on that wall, but I'm not going to be, everybody's not going to be sitting here talking about, with one voice. This is the thing. Yes, there needs to be people actually speaking to what's going on. But at the same time, it's going to be, the environment is going to be the environment, regardless of how delusional people want to be about the environment. So it's more important that the supply and demand markets change than it really is about motherfuckers really talking about it. Well, the thing about it is, I don't go to boys for investing. I wouldn't go to boys for that. Like, and that's the thing. Boy, this is what boys, in my opinion, and see, it's crazy because the way his shit is structured, is fucked up. Like, just from a funnel structured standpoint is bad. The way he should structure his shit. First of all, you need to look at what is one of the biggest things that fuck with black people: credit. And not necessarily, obviously, everybody can't go through him, but he should have a network of certified people that, people trust boys, and then they're able to help with credit. That way, it's like a business thing with a lot of people on Instagram, because I know quite a few people that do credit repair. That's one thing. How to get a house, how to get land, like the actionable shit. Like, investing is important, but that's not something. That number one, that's too risky, because then you can open up yourself to, like, if people aren't getting the outcomes they want, you need to focus on things that are predictable. And he doesn't do it. It's a lot of stuff. I could do a whole thing about that shit. Let's see. You know what, Clutch? That's real interesting coming from you, because I know you're not gonna say no blackety, blackety black shit just to say it. I kind of agree with that. Dr. Francis Quest Welsing said that that's part of one of the reasons why we get separated out. And I'm gonna keep it real. That's an interesting comment, and that's a weakness too, because these Asians and these Indians are going to overtake that sexual threat. They're gonna beat them out by numbers. They're even till this day. They're worried about Africa, and I'm like, Africa ain't what you need to worry about. You got China. Like, it's crazy, man. It really is when you think about it. Like, that's actually a very interesting comment, and that gives more credibility, the fact that comes out of you said that. What's up to the Black Brain Trust? I need to come over there one day, man. I would love to have an Edward versus the Black Brain Trust, but I got to get my clout game up a little bit, man. I mean, for real, like, I really want to know where these guys is saying you shouldn't have to improve. Like, I think you all are low-key trying to talk about Obsidian, but Obsidian ain't never said that shit. So I don't know where y'all getting that shit from. Yeah, what's up, everybody? So anyway, I'm going to end this video by talking about some of my favorite, self-improvement channels that are not necessarily black. So, are not black. I want to actually show you all. Let me see. Give me one moment. So I actually have a YouTube channel. It's not on this channel, but I actually have a YouTube channel that's actually specifically for self-improvement stuff. So a couple of things I'm going to show you is not just self-improvement stuff, but actually the motivation behind it. Now, I've already talked about, Erica's and all that stuff. So y'all already know what that is. All y'all got to do is Google that shit and y'all see that shit. And these are like things that if you are like, it's a stuff from a lot of different modalities, because a lot of people be thinking I be bullshitting. That's why I laugh when people say that, because I'm like, before a lot of people even knew me, on here, all I used to talk about is not so much self-improvement, but I'm not passionate about talking about self-improvement. I'm passionate about really saying, okay, what is the reasons why people don't do it, and try to break down those barriers, so they can do it. See, the problem with Myron Golden is his videos are spread out. But anyway, all right, this will be enough. I'm going to end this video with this. Yeah, I've been watching NFL. I don't give a fuck. What's it called? It's got his shit. Where? Come on. Share screen. All right, y'all. So this one right here is this is a video. This is something I actually really want to do, and it's called it's a motivational page. So pretty much what they do is they take things that certain people have said, whether it's celebrities and stuff like that, and they put it behind usually musical scores. Because I like to listen to musical scores, like from movies and stuff, in my playlist, whether I'm doing whatever I'm doing, as far as focus, as far as workout. And there's some really good ones, man. Like, there's one from like Driven, I forget that tank movie, Fury. There's some really good shit, man. Might Let's see. Vision. There is some really good stuff, where this stuff will wake you up. This is like an energy drink. This is like an energy drink for you, man. In fact, I would buy this channel because I know this channel does so much shit. This is the type of stuff that this will wake you up. This is like motivational. In fact, I want to check that out, see what that's about. This is literally, it's an energy drink for your ears. It will wake you up and get you started. And I'm not saying we got a blackity black version, but it's stuff with like black, famous black people and stuff saying stuff. Because, this dude is Clark Kegley. He's his shit is off the chains, man. Like this stuff is like his stuff. Every video he has is action packed, and it's not so much the typical read this, do that. He actually breaks stuff down. Like the video I actually first found him on, which is a video to talk about selling, and he broke it down very well, like how to do a marketing funnel and stuff like that. So this is a guide. If you're somebody you want to really make shit happen, this dude will make it happen. He's more like just general stuff, not necessarily like finance. This is a very interesting video channel as well, and it talks about a lot of different stuff. The other dude, Clark, is more like if you want to 10x stuff. This is more the general stuff. So it talks about like how to sleep well, body language, a lot of different things. Let me see. Another thing that's very good, but in a fun way, is Charisma on Command. This channel really kind of breaks down social skills in a very fun way, kind of looking at what certain celebrities do and and how they kind of manipulate things. Like not manipulate, but it's really cool because it really breaks down interviews and body language and what makes a lot of people like magnetic. It's if you want something like how to be magnetic and how to really, black people always talk about charisma. We talk about like it's magic. You either have it or you don't, and that's not true. You can actually develop social skills. And there's actually a couple other videos, channels that I can show you that specifically focuses on that. Nobody in the manosphere focuses on social skills because black people want to act like they have all of the social skills in the world, which a lot of them don't. It's something that actually can be measured, and you can actually see certain people. Like I have things that I do. And it is what it is, but I know when it comes to my communication, as far as by miscommunication, quotes and stuff like that, this is what I'm talking about. This dude will take this whiteboard and he will fucking change your life. I'm telling you, this dude is like Boyce Watkins times 100. And he wasn't always rich. I mean, he has a book called From Trash Man to Cash Man, and he talks about. I mean, he does have polio. He had polio, so this is a black man's black man, like for real, man. So. Anyway, I hope y'all saw that. Let me stop the sharing. So yeah, and a lot of that, improvement stuff, when people say that, that's just an emotional response to basically say, it ain't that bad, you niggas are just complaining, because they can't psychologically resonate with how dire the situation is in the black community. It's like you can see the stats talking about what black people do, but it's like you can't connect it to like the reality on the ground because that's not your life. And that's like me saying, okay, there's a lot of stuff I don't deal with. Like, for instance, I keep saying the reason I say I'm short is not so much because I have an issue with it, but you got to understand, I'm 5'5" and I'm lighter in tone. I have been stopped by the police, but I'm not going to have the same situation as a black man necessarily that's like 6 foot, dark skin. That's just because I've been stopped by the police. I've dealt with some fuck shit with the police doesn't mean even if I had it, I wouldn't be going around dismissing their experience and saying, well, because that didn't happen to me, that must mean it's something you did. I wouldn't say that because I know how to put myself in other people's shoes. That's why when I hear a lot of shit that black women say, I can put myself in their shoes and realize some of the dumb niggas that they're around all the time and that they gravitate to. But even beyond that, I can put myself in the shoes to the environment that they're in and then understand how they can look at what other people perceptually have and what they think they don't have, and then have a certain exhibit to their bit. I can get that on one level. But on another level, you know, at some point you have to look at, just like how I look at black men. Like I don't sit there and victimize black men. I say, we know there's black men that contribute to the gynocracy, and you see it all the time. I can look at different modalities and actually see what's going on and empathize with that. I'm not just sitting here like in my own lane, and whenever something operates out my lane, it's like, I don't know what the fuck it do. That's not how I operate. And what you hear a lot of dudes doing is they try to say, yes, I can very quickly break down if somebody's actually complaining or not. I very much can. I can tell if people are full of shit or not. Like, for instance, the thing that is never said in the manosphere space that you ain't heard not a goddamn dating coach say, including the ones that should be experts in this, is they never talk about that a lot of black men are not approaching black. A lot of black men got opinions about black women, but they're not approaching black women like that. They're not doing the approach numbers to really have the data to come to a lot of conclusions that they're talking about. This is why I hate the select and not select debate, because a lot of it gets away from the point. Because if you're a non-select male, that does not mean that you're weaker or you're less than. A non-select male just means you're gonna have to put more out there in order for a woman to actually look your way, because you're not on some, well, he can get it status off of looks. Newsflash, most men are not. Newsflash, well, because women are not wired, technically not wired like men are. So the reality is women trade on their looks. This is why you have the makeup industry and all that. But see, the problem is it's very masculine to look only at looks to qualify what a man is. And this is why they get the outcomes that they get. And then all of a sudden their outcomes is everybody's fault, even though they have agency to make their choices. And that's when I come in and I'm like, no, you made your choices. That's what you wanted, and that's what it is. It's like if you fuck a bitch with a fat ass and you don't look at nothing else, and then you wind up she's a crazy nutty bitch. Well, you know, it's the same shit. Anyway. But no, looking at only looks is actually very masculine. And this is why our women do it the most. So anyway, I'm gonna leave it a little couple, you know, like 30 minutes, and I'm gonna put the chat. I'm gonna put it in the chat. So if any of y'all want to ask me questions about self-improvement and some shit, y'all want to get what my policies on self-improvement. Like, I remember I told you about them damn policies. My policy on self-improvement is every man should do it, regardless of what level he thinks he's at or how much bitches he's getting or he lack thereof. That's my policy. But my policy is also that I also believe that you need to look at the women you're dealing with just as much as you're looking at your improvement. Because here's the thing, a lot of what y'all are calling dudes being less than is really dudes being not culturally compatible with certain groups of women. Because it's obvious that if you have issues with any woman, every woman, or any type, like different archetypes, that clearly the issue is not necessarily the women. It might just be you. Nobody's arguing against that. So anyway, what's up, Sigma?
Hey, good Friday to you, brother. Really appreciate.
Oh, my bad. I'm sitting there, got the mute button on.
Yeah, really appreciate the work that you've been putting in the last 2 months, man. Someone really set you off because you've been bringing it, man.
It's just, you know, I get like that sometimes. My birthday's coming up, so maybe that's what it is. I'll be 33 in 4 weeks.
Yeah, I beat you by 2 months. I was August 31st, so I'm in that same boat, man. Fall season has always been my favorite season too. So I like fall Fridays, man. But yeah, you know, just as far as the conversation that you're talking about, It is surprising to think that damn, what's that noise?
I want no, it's the stairs. Don't worry about that. I want RJ to come up here too, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, it's just kind of surprising that this is where American Black conversation is at, especially in light of the Amber Geiger trial outcome and that display of Samboism that I can just simply not believe actually happened before my eyes. I mean, I was watching some Dr. Phil where they had the Caribbean black male that was hugging Amber Geiger. And
so is he ADOS or not ADOS?
Oh no, they're Caribbean. Bottom jeans.
Oh, great, good.
They're either Haitian, or Lucian or something like, but they're Caribbean.
But so you heard that? So we don't gotta take that charge. Okay, good. That makes me feel a lot better. Go ahead.
I mean, bro, today they were on Dr. Phil, man. This lets you know where the shit is at, where you get this kind of display of a family. The woman hasn't even been put in cuffs yet, and they're talking about forgiveness and all this shit. And it really hits you when you see it in a panoramic view. You see like these Caribbean black males, then you see the American black females behave. You got a judge, right? Everyone, the white people that have watched this, they are laughing so hard in the media.
I mean, even Stephen Clark wasn't that. Even as fucked up as Stephen Clark was, even Stephen Clark wasn't gonna do no stupid shit like that.
And he was a pure buffoon. But I'm talking about what I saw from a black female judge and that black bailiff, and to actually listen to the commentary from the white media is very telling. You got people that have been working in courts all their life. They've been lawyers, they've been judges and things of that nature. And they were saying they had never seen a display of mammyism and Samboism like that in their life. These are white people talking about this. Just picture a judge, right? Let's just revisit this shit, right? So imagine a white female judge, and then you got a black female cop that was the murderer, and she had walked into the apartment of her neighbor who was a white man and murdered him in cold blood. Can you just imagine how different this scenario would have been? Can you in your mind see a white female judge going up to that black female cop, hugging her, and then you also got like the white female cop running her hands through the weave of the American black?
That would never happen. But one thing I've always found funny, because I've actually seen this in real life, where even white people will be like, "You doing too much." Like, you doing too much kiss ass. And I'm not even talking about liberal white people. Right. You know, it's like you're doing the play. And it's like, wow, like I'm embarrassed for you. Cause, you know, it's like it's not supposed to be that open like that. And it just goes to show you like how just animated folks can be. And it's like, and look, this is something I say, and people always get on my nerves, but I mean this shit. I mean, like, yo, nobody is taking more from the black woman than the white woman. And I will also say, as a collective group, and I will also say nobody's up the white woman's ass more than the black woman. Now, because even before that dude did that hug, I mean, but at the same time, I can't even. See, this is why I love things like ADOS. Because see, I can look at something like that and say, you know what, I'm not going to try that. They're not ADOS, so we can talk a hell of a lot of shit about it. But because it's one thing to be talking about you forgive somebody, it's another thing to be putting your hands up on somebody, like you know.
Hold on, though. Okay, even when you talk about the forgiveness piece, though, I used to read a lot of stuff from like John Henry Clark, Dr. Claude Anderson, Francis Cress Welsing, Neely Fuller, right? I used to read a lot of stuff. There got to a point right before Dr. Cress Welsing died where she was so disgusted by the behavior of black victims of police brutality at the point of an arrest. So it didn't even get to the point of a trial, and these people with the family coming on TV talking about, oh, I forgive them in the name of Jesus Christ. And she's a black psychologist that practiced for like 50 years from a family of doctors, and her clientele was black professional class people in the DC and Chicago areas. And she said that she had never seen such disgusting displays of just humiliating yourself. She said she had never seen it, and she was fed up with it right before she died. That's how bad it was getting by the year 2010 or so. And I think she died in 2015, and she was saying that you black folks, she was admitting that the state of Black America was in its last stage where it would just collapse in on itself because there's been a psychological breakdown of the last two generations of blacks in a way that you couldn't even imagine people contributing to it themselves. Whereas before, they could just blame Jim Crow, they could blame slavery. But then you couldn't use that excuse after 1965. So you had to actually deal with the source of the problem, Black people and their own embracing of destructive cultural norms.
Well, what it is, and like I said, this is why I keep saying, even on Black YouTube, you see it. Like you could, like I said it before and I say it again, you could be over there, Mark Whitten, Eric Sonnewood, they're talking about real estate, they're talking about finance, they're talking about on the ground shit, not just some highbrow shit like Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins is one of the bigger channels over there, but he's by no means the only person talking in that space. And you could never not like deal. You may come across Angry Man or BGS every once in a while, or Shake. They have bigger channels, but you would never necessarily get drug into it because the algorithm, the stuff doesn't cross like that. That's why, you know, if I was talking to a guy like Yusef, I got mad respect for Yusef, but Yusef actually has a lot of hidden value that I don't think he's really aware of because that's just the water he's swimming in, because he's a finance guy. And, you know, RJ, like, he doesn't really like the stuff, like his stuff would be a lot more appreciated over there because that's when people are actually making moves and they would actually accept a lot of his common knowledge. But yeah, man, it is what it is. But even when you bring it back to the conversation of the improvement piece, you know, because that's what I want to talk about. Because I could do I might do a hangout just on that bullshit. Because this is why I say 60% of Black folks ain't gonna make it. This is why I say that shit. But at the end of the day, man, knowing that they're not ADOS, you know, it's not. I mean, obviously that doesn't mean ADOS don't have their problems, but that's something that we got to segment too, because a lot of that extra "please accept me" shit.
That's kind of generous to me, bro. After seeing that display in that courtroom and the insight that it gave me into some of the lack of self-respect, even in the educated Black class. Yo, 60% is sounding very generous right now.
It is. Even BGS says it's generous, but I'm not trying to be too negative. Anyway, so this is what I do. Oh God, this is gonna be interesting. So I got Preem coming up, and I'm gonna let you get in, Roger, and then I got Obsidian. So this is what I want to do. This conversation is really about improvement, and I want to really have an understanding as to what y'all are hearing as far as. Because y'all are not in the necessarily same circle that I am in YouTube as far as its improvement piece. And that's what I want to keep it on. We'll probably do this for 30, 45 minutes. And I'm going to be sure to try to not do so much talking because, you know, I've already done that. So anyway, I'm about to bring both of them up. But Roger, you're up next. So my question to you, Roger, is this. Since you've been in YouTube, what I'm gonna ask everybody this, but what is your policy on improvement, and what do you think a lot of these guys, as far as the audience, is really saying when they're talking about, let's just say, their relationship status or their dating statuses or lack thereof or whatever?
Well, I think when it comes to improvement, that's something every Black man should be trying to do. But honestly, you got to do it for yourself. If you improving specifically for the basis of I can get a woman, then the woman still defines you. So even if you're a multimillionaire and the woman says you're still not enough of a man, then you're going to feel inadequate as a man because you're basing your manhood on something, in my opinion, is extremely stupid. Men are not supposed to base their manhood on women. Women are for women to base their womanhood on. It's not for men to base their manhood on. Men should be basing their manhood based on having good character and accomplishing things, improving themselves, improving their wives, their children, the community as a whole. That's what we should be basing manhood on. So telling a person to improve for someone that is not interested in an improved man, and the reason I say not interested in an improved man, because if you start really digging into stats, the American government has already shown that Black men still make more money than Black women. So if you got so many women that, for whatever reason they want to say, ends up with a man that makes less money than them, then you're not looking for an improved man. You're looking for a man that you feel is lesser than you, And the real issue, honestly, even though black people won't talk about it, that's where your white supremacy comes in. Because if you've been born and raised in America and you went to public schools, if you watched any movie, you read any magazine, you read any book, everything that's out there, especially before social media, has been white supremacy approved. Black people are trained to be white supremacists. And if you don't let that go, you continue to act like white supremacists. So when it comes to black women, they see black men through white supremacy's eyes. They are beneath me, just like white daddy told me they was. They'll never do enough for me because they're still just like white daddy said. And when it comes to even when it comes to that case, what you saw was though I'm not gonna say too much about Botham's family because they're not total Americans from my understanding. So I don't try to say I understand how things happen in other countries. But basically all I saw was white supremacy being accepted by those people, and they're just that's them displaying white supremacy.
Yeah,
Period.
what you saw was the blood sacrifice. That's what you saw. But and I'm not gonna act like people don't be doing that. The difference is we do it for a check. You know, that's usually when you start hearing motherfuckers talk about that forgive. It's like they ain't trying to fuck up that government money, which is, I'm not saying it's any better. I will say to the other thing too is when you create an improved man, you increase the capacity of that man to dominate you. And a lot of times if you're somebody that's not accepting of that, then even though motherfuckers are saying that shit, that's not reflective in what you choose. And I'm just saying, don't sit here and bring this out like that's what it is, when in actuality, that's not what motherfuckers are choosing. So anyway, that's great, Roger. So we're going to jump to Preem, and then I'm going to jump to Obsidian. So Preem, what do you think about anything I said as far as the improvement part? I know what your kind of general opinion of it is, but what do you think? Do you think that the general audience, when it comes to in the manosphere, that when they're talking about women, they're really talking about, I don't want to improve, but I think I should be able to get a 7, 8, 9, or 10 female? And what are your just general thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know about the guys think they're entitled to 7, 8, 9, 10. But I could definitely speak to self-improvement. And I've got an opinion on self-improvement as far as Black America. Black America, you know, and the leaders that be of Black America, Black leaders will never allow self-improvement to permeate throughout Black America, because it completely goes against, you know, their hustle. You know, because when you start talking about self-improvement, now you're talking about self-accountability, self-reliance, self-determination. And when you do that, that means it's all on me. That means you can't have two conflicting thoughts in your head at the same time. You can't say that I'm a victim, I can't get nowhere because I'm perpetually oppressed, but then with the same mind say that I can do all things. You can't hold those two thoughts at the same time. That's why you see the folks that they call coons or the bootstrap people. There's no compromise with them. You never see, you know, there's no gray area. There's no compromise with them and Black America as a whole. Because, you know, they will never be able to find a common meeting ground, you know, and that's why folks like, you know, me and, you know, Sigmas and the other ones that are, you know, Obsidians, the ones that speak about it's on me, I'm self-reliant, I'm self-determined, you know, they get ousted, you know, or they're like outcasts because again, it goes against it goes against what folks have been brainwashed to believe. You know, so you will never see self-improvement in Black America the way that I see it in white America.
Well, what I also want to jump on too, you can finish that thought too, is what do you see in the manosphere in particular as far as this is done?
A beautiful thing. I see manosphere, what they call manosphere 3.0, being a revision back to manosphere 1.0, to kind of kick out all the extras that were allowed to come in and to kind of muddy up the waters and, you know, to kind of have a voice. These brothers that are pushing and spirit and moving out the 3.0, they are compromising.
What do you think? What do you think Manosphere 3.0 is? Because I get different. I'm getting mixed messages as to what the fuck it is. Me personally, I think there's a positive to a negative. And when I say that, I mean there's guys like Sigma like Mr. Fantastic on a positive side, and then there's like another side to that, which is dudes that, you know, whatever. So so I think it's both ways, but elaborate a little bit more on that, and then we'll move to the city.
And again, this is my opinion. I'm not, you know, I wasn't one of the I didn't have constructed or advised or none of that. This is my opinion, just as an outside observer, is that it's a revision back to its origin, to 1.0, to where it's selfish. It's meant being okay, being selfishly minded, being self-absorbed, being worried and focused only on themselves and what benefits them, being SYSBM, being self-interest first and foremost. And if the community or whoever else aligns with that, cool, come on, we can go and get something. If we don't, you can go fucking kick rocks.
Okay, absolutely. So just to bring that home, Obsidian, I mean, you don't need no introduction. I'm curious as to what your thoughts is when it comes to the manosphere and this ideology of the black men are whiners, and that basically that the argument about the community or the social contract is really just a straw argument to just cry about the lack of your vaginal access, and then whatever you want to talk about. Obsidian. All right, well, Obsidian gets his stuff ready. Sigma, what do you think over? I'm getting focused to the point. What is your thoughts on? Do you think the majority of black men are whiners in the manosphere that are talking about this, or do you really think that there's something to it, or are they and they don't want to improve? And where have you seen that, if you think that's the case?
I mean, I guess it depends on what you consider to be the manosphere, because me having coming in last year, and when I came through this space, what I consider the manosphere and what other people consider is two different things.
Okay.
So the basic definition of what Black Manosphere 2.0 was independent-minded, conservative, or libertarian-minded black men having constructive conversation. That's always been my understanding from as an observer before I ever joined any panels of Black Manosphere 2.0. So, of course, by definition, they are not complainers, they're problem solvers. Now, what has happened over the course of the time that I've been here, there's been an influx of all these other people from like religious sectors, communist sectors, and other anti-black male sectors, and black misandrists. See, that's what's happened, is that they've clouded everything and they've created this fog around what was my definition of what the manosphere was. The manosphere was always about solving problems. It was I call the Black Manosphere the Rucker of black male thought, right? And if you know about basketball and things like that, then you know that the Rucker League is street ball players and professional players, and go to the street levels to learn new skills, to learn new angles. The same way that street fighters sometimes fight against professional fighters, who you would be like, why would a professional fighter fight against a street fighter? Because they pick up certain skills. If you're a person that's a college graduate, that's kind of similar to like the NBA or the professional boxing. You come from a very academic way of seeing things. And so to me, the Black Manosphere was like going to the Rucker League and learning new moves that I can use in my real life. So that's what it was. What it became over the last year was something that had a whole bunch of influx of people that weren't there at first. So these people came in with their religiosity, and they came a lot of their communist ideas and things like that, and they flooded this space. And so for people like me, and I'm just speaking just like Preem was just giving his personal opinion, I'm just speaking from a personal opinion standpoint. That's how I saw the Black Manosphere. I said, wow, where did all these brothers come from that think like this? Because there was a time when, before I heard about the Black Manosphere, I thought I was like this, out here on my own on the island, because I never really met too many brothers that think the way I do. A couple, and I got a couple that were like mentors to me, but I'm talking about 1 in 1,000. But when I found all these men from around the world saying the same thing that I've been saying to my very small circle, my very small think tank, I'm like, okay, this is great. So that's how I saw it. So what we call the manosphere now is not what it was just even 12 months ago. It's been a lot of it.
Okay, I see. I kind of see what you and Preem are talking about. I see it, because I kind of look at it differently, but I really formulated it. It's not against what you all are saying. This is more kind of like y'all are cutting on this topic, y'all are cutting, like using a machete to cut some trees, and I'm using a machete to cut another angle. So it's not so much one right or wrong. I will say this: now that Obsidian's on, one thing that's unique to you and Sigma. I remember I recall a conversation we had. It was probably almost 2 years ago, where I had made a comment, and we had a whole hangout about that. And this was you and Preem was on here. And we were talking about an audience. So I was segmenting audiences, and I was the one there basically saying, Obsidian's audience represents a certain thing. And this is why he has this audience. It wasn't me kind of going at Obsidian like everybody else was, but I was kind of basically segmenting him from a marketer standpoint. And you all kind of took exception to what I was saying. I forget what I really do forget the angle that I was coming, but I know both of you all took exception to that, because I remember Preem was talking and you came in, and then you literally started sounding like I literally thought it was Obsidian that was talking, but you didn't really hear exactly what I had said. And once I explained it, you kind of got more in the middle. It wasn't completely diametrically opposed. Mm-hmm. The reason I'm asking that question, the point of it is, a lot of these arguments, I'm just going to say it. Obsidian has a lot of people that shook. And I say that because a lot of times people will start arguing with people, and I can literally tell they're arguing with me like they think I'm taking on Obsidian's talking point. Kind of like it's the Matrix, and I've magically turned from Mr. Smith into Obsidian, and they act like, oh, we got to fight an agent now. Mm-hmm. So they start talking to me. Do y'all understand what I'm saying? Have y'all heard this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it makes a lot of sense, because you got to understand is that what he's doing is kind of, has anyone ever did anything like that? He's trying.
Well, he's and it's a lot of different folks. Like, even I'm like, shout out to Dynus. I'm cool with Dynus, but even Dynus, I mean, it's situations where it's like Obsidian gets under people's skin in a certain type of way. It's crazy, because at first I saw it with the females.
Is it the messenger, or is it the message though?
It's both.
It's the message both, more or less. Even though yes, Obsidian can get under people's skin, the issue is the fact that Obsidian is giving a very needed message, period. At the end of the day, there's a lot of men who need this message because they have grown up under single mothers, and their mothers purposely kept them away from any type of normal, productive men, and they did it on purpose because they want to rely on their son. When they become old and need help, they want to rely on their son to provide that.
Well, the reason I say it's both is because it's not just the message. The message is the foundation, but it is the delivery. It is the way the message is delivered. Also, the fact it cannot be countered, that why a lot of these dudes really get mad too. Because if somebody else, so it does, because you know how we are. My point in saying that is, a lot of the black men are whining crowd. It really comes from what they're really trying to attack, kind of Obsidian's. They feel like Obsidian's audience is like the foundation of that, Now, and they believe if they can knock that down, then they can break. Basically, it'll be like a house of cards. This is why they're always coming for them.
Here's why I don't. This is why I say I think it's the message, because, okay, even if you take any of us names off this screen, right, and you just have blank images with no names, and the message was the same, that's where the problem's at. Because, okay, last week we spent a lot of panels talking about this revelation from the Board of Education that 75% or so of black 18-year-olds are reading at a 4th grade level. What does that have to do with complaining or not complaining or who said it? The real issue is, why are 75% of black children going into adulthood reading at 4th grade level? Why? See, people don't want to see that's irregardless of a cult of personality. What people want to do, they want to make the messenger the target, because then you can distract from the bigger issue that goes back to the bad decision making over the last 2 or 3 generations. See, that's what it is. It don't have nothing to do with the messenger. It has to do with the
messenger. I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying you're right. It's not that the message, because this message is beyond just a cult of personality. That is true. But okay, he said he's back. Okay, so yeah, but my point is it's because a lot of times, like for instance, and I'm not trying to talk about certain people, but one of the things BGS mentioned was, he said somebody said they don't need facts, and this was a dude saying this, in the argument, the SY, because BGS has been on like a SYSBM kind of steed as of late. And that's why I kind of made the thing with Obsidian, because it's like when you hear a lot of dudes saying the same stuff, they have a lot of different type of experiences. Yeah, there's young guys at SYU, obviously. That's saying something. This is the same thing kind of coming back to, which is basically options. Black men have every right to basically do what they need to do, what's in their best interest, and it's like minds. That's what it was. What we were talking about. We were talking about individualism. It was individualism is what we were talking about that y'all took exception to.
How pathetic is that, though? How pathetic at a time when the country is in an election year and they're divvying out resources and talking about who's going to get what. You got black men. Something that's as remedial as if I, as a black American citizen, whose grandparents fought in wars, who have been hardworking people since way back, who knows how long, we're having conversations about if he, as a black American man, has the right and privileges under the U.S. Constitution to travel or not to travel, to choose who my mate's gonna be. This shit is so remedial at this point, man. We're so fucking lost, bro. Like, this is an election year when you got all these different special interest groups talking about how much of the federal trough that they're gonna get in the next fiscal year, the first fiscal year in this either Donald Trump's second term or someone else's first term. We are talking about the most remedial things.
But it is necessary, though.
Yeah. So Obsidian. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right, and it's. Yeah. Don't even get me started. So Obsidian, are you live? Are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question to you, Obsidian, is this idea, this straw man of self-improvement, and how do you know any guys that are out here saying that I should be able to get a 7, 8, 9, or 10 female, and I shouldn't have to? I'm not even talking about just black women. I'm talking about women in general, but we can keep it with black women. That they shouldn't have to improve. They should be Joe Blow on the fucking couch and have a gap in their fucking teeth and whatever. Because I've heard that too.
Absolutely not. It is a straw man. And if I may have the floor for a moment, because there's a number of people here.
No. Yep. Go ahead.
First, with all due respect to the Roger Report, and what I'm about to say here isn't a matter of personal opinion, it's a matter of scientific fact. In the literature bearing on mating, evolutionary biology, evolutionary psychology, there is a clinical term known as mating effort. Both male and female devote effort to attract and retain a mate. You can use self-improvement, and we'll get to that more in detail in a minute, for the express purpose of mating effort. Okay? That can be done. Whether it should be done is a matter that must be decided on an individual level. What I will say this is those who fail to attract mates will fail to mate. So mating effort is required. Okay? And all of us do it to one degree or another, whether we know it or not. Much of it is subconscious. For example, now we go to self-improvement. Making advancements on your job, getting a promotion, moving up the status hierarchy, making more money. All of that is directly related to increased mating success if you're male. That's a fact. The higher you go in status, the higher you go up the hierarchy, the more money you make, the greater your mating opportunities. That's just a fact. So, one form of self-improvement is to get very successful. See, the select fuckboys don't talk about that. There's a reason for it. Because select fuckboys, as a general rule, tend not to be successful. Now, that's not to say that there are no select guys who are not successful. That's not true. But generally, select fuckboys don't tend to be successful. What they tend to do is trade on looks, which can be improved through hitting the gym, having a great mouthpiece, and so on. Very little do you hear about improvement in the professional arena or in the job arena or in the business arena. Very little do you hear them talk about improvement in terms of your gray matter. When's the last time you heard any of these guys talking about the last book they read? If you go and check out Roosh V, everybody here is familiar with Roosh, right?
Yep.
You go and check out Roosh, and you just go and look at his back posts over the past 5 years. Every week, he's recommending a stack of books to read. I ask everybody listening right now, when is the last time any of these guys recommended a book? See, Boogie, he can barely read. Ron Wills, other than his own books, you haven't heard him mention any.
Okay.
Ditto.
Nah, keep going. I just,
I want to say one quick thing to respond.
Hold on 1 second. The comments expressed by Obsidian is not necessarily reflective of Edward Anderson Media.
Damn.
So I do not want motherfuckers. He is a grown ass man. So I do not want motherfuckers trying to come at me. If you want to, do it at your own risk. But yeah, I didn't say that shit, and so it is what it is. But anyway, continue, Obsidian.
What can I say? One thing.
Let me say this: 48 laws.
Yeah, you can go after Obsidian is done.
Let me say this: the 48 laws of power doesn't count. I'm talking about an actual book. What about a biography of a great man of history? Let's start with, say, Winston Churchill. Oh, I know you want to keep it black. Okay, fuck it. W.E.B. Boys.
You knew they were coming with that shit. I mean, I recommend from Cashman and Trashman on this platform right now. But
how about that? How about a good history book? How about a good military strategy book? Has any of these guys read The Art of War? I've done actual podcast series on it.
Dr. Claude Anderson's books, but go ahead.
Okay. I mean, the whole man has to be dealt with here. And see, the great thing about being a guy, unlike women, the great thing about being a guy is that nature, since we want to talk about human nature, we want to talk about Mother Nature, if you will. Mother Nature, rather, has fixed it so that men have many ways and many dimensions on which to improve themselves, both for their own enrichment and to attract mates. So you don't need to look like a little David Batista in order to attract a mate. You don't. Now, does that give you the right to just be just straight out of shape and slob, or be a slob and sloppy? No. No, it doesn't.
I don't mean to cut you off, Obsidian, but one thing, Grinch kind of said something. And Grinch, you're not wrong with the comment you just said, as far as saying, no, that's not what I wanted to do. The one you said about the looks, you're absolutely not wrong about that. But Grinch, what I will tell you is, when you look at why companies fail and why companies are successful over the long term, and even companies like Sears can be successful over the long term and still fail. A lot of that shit that you just said, as far as promoting for looks, that's why companies fail. Or they're promoting, the good old boys club, the white boys club. And hold on, I want to say this real quick, and then I'll let Obsidian finish, and then you jump back in. When you look at like Sears or Blockbuster, and a lot of these shits fail because of that very shit. Now you look at a company like Apple, and you look at Apple's keynote, or you look at other than the salesman being promoted for looks, because that translates into sales, when it comes down to a lot of the stuff that adds value to the company behind the scenes, the research and development, the actual tech heads, ain't nobody going out here tell you that like Indians are out looking white folks or black folks. You're not going to say that. You're not even going to say that with Asians like that. And I'm not trying to be racist, but like if you're, as far as heighten all of those same metrics, but they're driving a lot of these companies because the value that's driven by these companies is not look. So although you are right in a surface level, companies that do that, you usually see fall the fuck off over time. And I don't, and then so you can respond now, like you say, when
let me respond to that real quick, since it was directed to me. In my 22 years on the job, union man, skilled tradesman, one of the few black men, skilled tradesmen, I had no problem making all the money I want. I was the third highest paid man on the job, not in management or a 20+ year union man. I had no bar to my ability to move ahead because being a union man, it was all about production on the floor. No politics. No, do you have the right look? No, it was about straight skills, as it should be. Okay.
Yeah, but that's a great, but you know, and a lot of people think that. So this is not me trying to say he's wrong. That was actually an excellent point he put out, because that's what he said is what conventional wisdom is. But like I said before, you know, I've done videos with some of y'all where we've gone and talk shop about like why Blockbuster fell apart or why certain companies fell. A lot of that shit behind the scenes, you know, also you trying to embed women in there where there's no value either. That's shit like that is why a lot of these companies fall the hell off. So I will say this though, in regarding the salesmen and stuff, that's more true, because like that translates to human nature. But
let me get back to this guy. No, I was outclassed by nobody. Dude, yeah. I know my job. Okay? You know your job, but you don't know mine. Nobody outclassed me. Nobody. And that's with or without a college degree. Nobody outclassed me. I made myself invaluable to the operation. So you may know your job, and that's great. Grinch the Gladiator P. Look, man, God bless you.
Y'all might need to do a one-on-one battle.
God bless you, but you don't know me. And I'm telling you based on my experience that there was no bar on my ability to move as far as I wanted to. Race didn't have anything to do with it. Educational level didn't have anything to do with it. Height didn't have anything to do with it. You know what had anything to do with it? My willingness to work hard and to develop the skills that make me an invaluable part of the operation. That's what did it.
So like I said, you know, and shout out to Grinch. I'm cool with Grinch. So that y'all may want to do that one-on-one battle. Well, that's gonna extend the conversation, and I want to let y'all talk. So anyway, Sigma, you go, and I know Roger, you go, and then we'll keep it on moving.
Yeah, I was gonna say you should just bring Grinch up, but you know, in regards to this whole survival of the fittest argument, I hear from dudes that don't even do research and read. Right? It's funny. When I was doing that research for the panel with MOT and Obsidian on the case for the non.
And by the way, my bad, I'm gonna cut you off. Do not block Grinch. A lot of y'all keep blocking people, and then I gotta unblock them, and I don't know how to unblock people yet. So
you gotta go to your community settings and go to your subscribers in the community. Yeah.
I'm about to get educated. Anyway, my bad, Sigma. Go ahead.
Go to your community settings that word, you can unblock them. But yeah. So I was doing the research on IQ and the different intelligences. And something that stood out in my mind was that when I came across Charles Darwin, who is actually the person that really pushed the theory of evolution and things like that, he actually said himself that it wasn't the strongest of the species or the most intelligent, but the unit and creature within the species that was most adaptable to change that pushed the species forward. And the reason that stood out in my mind is because you always do talk about they use these absurd arguments to the extremes when Charles Darwin himself was arguing that just like with the CEOs that we look at, right? So I was trying to figure out why is it that like the highest IQ people in Western society don't make the most money and aren't the most powerful. And I was thinking about his quote and come to find out that there's like
they're not the most cunning.
Yeah, they're not. Yep, that's one of the factors. But there's also the fact that there's a certain IQ level threshold that CEOs tend to meet. And like you said, the cunning. So I think it's like 115 to 130. That's the range of the richest people in the world that wasn't born rich, right? Whereas like the genius level IQs tend to often get their IP stolen from them and tend to be workers for that group. But like you said, it's that cunning and it's having that threshold IQ that tend to be the ones that put things forward.
And what a lot of you said some very, very good shit that if we had more time, and I'm gonna let all y'all get y'all stuff because we'll be on for like another 30 more minutes. That we could branch off a whole thing in there because that goes into social intelligence and balance.
Yeah.
Because the problem in black community, and even though we don't even go as deep with social intelligence as we should, motherfuckers calling shit social intelligence is really not social intelligence. It's really not. But social intelligence is an intelligence mechanism, and it seems like black people put a magical level on that above everything else, when in actuality, a lot of what messes up your smart guys, and this is going to dudes that are smart, is they don't take social intelligence seriously. It's not that they don't have the capacity to learn it, it's that they don't feel like they should have to. They feel, and you hear that in a lot. See, this is really the crux of what a lot of the arguments are when people try to say you don't believe in improving. What they are really trying to say, and they don't communicate this. I know what these niggas are communicating. This is how I know. I know what these niggas are communicating, but they can't even fucking communicate it. Is they're saying you're not willing to play the social intelligence game with black women, and therefore that is a bad reflection on you. And that's really what they mean when they're talking about self-improvement. That
they're not even truly playing the social intelligence game. Because again, in that panel that I was doing with MOT, that Obsidian, he missed it, but I was forced to do a lot of reading into his arguments. And when you look at that, what we call social intelligence, that includes mostly verbal linguistics, introspection, and interpersonal skills. Most of the dudes that you're talking about, they're not even in that lane. What they're focused on is pre-selection stuff. Because
go ahead.
You use the term pre-qualifier, but I use the term pre-selection. Because one of the things that me and Obsidian disagreed on was that Obsidian was trying to conflate game and intelligence. And I disagree with him on that.
I'm not gonna lie, pre-selection sounds better. Well, go ahead.
So I started looking at it, okay, I'm listening to this whole select and non-select argument, and to come to find out, a lot of these dudes are focused on pre-selection, which actually is a good thing if you just want sex. Let's not act like pre-selection isn't a very powerful way of getting easy sex, because the thing about pre-selection, it has nothing to do with what you say. It's strictly about the woman.
Exactly.
Do you know what pre-selection is, King Sigma?
Yeah.
All right, what is it?
For me, it's just a woman that looks at you across the bar and she wants to fuck you before you even open your mouth.
No, that's not pre-selection.
That's what. No, I'm giving you my version of what.
No. Pre-selection is based, and this is science. This is facts, not personal opinions. Pre-selection is when one female makes a choice to mate with the male based on his already having another female. The other female has endorsed him. So let's just use this in human terms. Some guys will notice that when they get a girlfriend, or even more so, get a wife, all of a sudden all the women are hitting on them. Anybody knows that?
I mean, that happens all the time, yeah.
That's pre-selection.
Well,
a woman has endorsed you already.
No, that is absolutely correct, Obsidian. But I also see what Sigma is saying is another angle of that too.
No.
So what would you call what Sigma's talking about there?
Are you saying that pre-selection does not have multiple layers to it? Is that what you're saying?
Science.
Okay, so what would you call what Sigma would? Hold on 1 second, Sigma. What would you call what Sigma's talking about?
No, I would call that his personal opinion and observations.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the concept. Fine, but I'm talking about the concept of a woman looking at a guy and saying, based on his looks alone, yes, I would fuck him. What would you call that?
Science too, Obsidian. It can be backed up.
That's not pre-selection.
Okay, so what would you call that? What is the science? There is a term for that.
You just said, based on this is my definition, so I would call that based on his personal.
But I'm giving you my version. Reading about women and what they consider to be what they like physically. It's been proven that women have a preference for V tapers. They have a preference for like low body fat in a man.
Did you know
that? And you can look this up online here, right?
Now, so that's not my opinion, Obsidian. This is. Did
you know that women's perception of attractiveness can vastly change just based on what your reputed earnings are alone?
But do you know that a woman's pussy can get wet without knowing your earnings and without her hearing anything?
I'm talking about the physical attributes.
Earnings, but wait a minute. But earnings is a very big part of attraction for women.
But it comes on the back end. I'm talking about
no. It comes on the front end. I'm telling you, and you can look this up here on YouTube. Women's perception of a man's attractiveness vastly changes.
Yeah, but Obsidian, that's also dependent. That's also dependent on what type of society they're in and how scarce the resources are.
Hold on. Let me respond to you, Obsidian. Hold on. I'm not denying that money and status is part of attraction. What I'm saying is that there are certain ways that you can attract women that are not based on just one of them. You can attract a woman through your physique, your pretty face, through your status, through your money, through your persuasion, which we call game and social intelligence. Those things are not exclusive from each other.
Actually, there's a hierarchy and an ordering. According to Professor David M. Buss, University of Texas at Austin, considered one of the grandfathers of evolutionary psychology, in his book, The Evolution of Desire Strategies of Human Mating, in the section, What Women Want, there are 10 specific things that women want in a man. Number 1, economic capacity. Number 2, social standing.
Okay.
Good looks and all that come way down on the list.
Okay, now let's ask a question. Obsidian. But if that is true, what Dr. Buss is saying, you yourself talk about how American black women, they throw that whole idea out the window because what they want, you say it yourself, is a select fuckboy. So how can you say that
Very good question.
Does that apply to black women? Or are you applying it to?
Very good question. Black women are the exception that proves the rule. In Essence magazine.
Well, we're mostly talking about black women here.
Well, again, hold on a second. But the reason I can tell you right now why they do it is because they take that off the table because they don't believe they can actually achieve that in ways that other women can. So even if I were to say, okay, that would be their number 1, they don't believe they can get men of that number anyway. So they don't put that. Then you're not going to aim for something you don't actually believe in your mind or unconscious you don't believe you can get. So like, me trying to aim, well, I ain't going to say that to self-deprecate myself, but my point is, again, you don't do that. And and I've heard other people speak to that. So that's why black women don't aim for that, because they assume all black men are broke. And when a black man is broke, they really have this kind of, is not broke. They have this kind of thing about he's not real. And then he can do all this crazy shit to me. So therefore I'm not going to respect him any fucking way because I see him as an other. So that answers that. But what Sigma said, let's be absolutely clear here. Women do qualify dudes based on looks. And that is actually more true in Western society than that is in other societies. Yes, money and looks is always in the top. Some women.
Where are you getting this information?
I'm getting information from Obsidian because you said yourself.
I'm citing.
You're citing an academic.
I'm citing academic sources.
The Dr. Buss interview. We're talking about.
I'm citing academic sources.
We're talking about black mating right now, Obsidian.
All right, so cite me some academic.
It'd be like me citing Boyce Watkins about.
That they want
cite me some academic. All right, cite me some academic sources from Black America, or are we all going to admit that such information is scant and we're going based off of personal anecdote?
Nope, we're going off facts because you and I sat on a panel and we did the research and found out that 20% of select fuckboys are the ones that are creating these bastard baby making.
But we don't know. But okay, so we know that Iyanla Vanzant hosted 6 black men who impregnated 50 black women and created nearly 80 babies.
Yes.
If we look at that, you can find this on YouTube. If you look at the black men there, they don't look the same. One guy is short, the other is tall and thin, etc. How do we explain it?
Because not all women find the same kind of dude to be the right fuckboy for her. Some women like skinny dudes, some like fat dudes, some like short. Their preferences physically be all over the place. But for the way that you describe a fuckboy has a mental component as well, not just a physical. Now you're changing it because before you said it was a physical and a mental component to being a select fuckboy. And if there's a physical component, then that can be different for every woman. You'd be surprised, some fine ass women. I know a woman that's fine as hell. She's short. She says she don't even like the really tall dudes. And I asked her, well, that's strange. Most women say over 6 feet. She said, I think it looks weird.
So that tells us that there's great variation in women's, in this case, black women's short-term mating criteria.
Yes.
That's what it tells us.
But that's what we were talking about. We were talking about black women and short-term mating.
Right. So what it tells us, we both agree that there is great variation among black women when it comes to short-term mating, right?
Yeah, I will say that. Yeah.
Okay. So we could kind of toss out the idea of a certain cookie cutter look when it comes to that.
Yeah, but here's no, hold on a second. But here's my thing.
This last statement before I get a mic to you. Even if you toss out the cookie cutter, what I'm saying is that there's a physical template that women will have where, like, if you're in a bar and there's women there, you don't even gotta say anything. The woman will just look at her friend and be like, that dude's fine as hell. He ain't said shit. He's already pre-selected if you don't fuck it up, is what I was saying about pre-selection. And I get what you're adding this other layer, but that's pre-selection too. Because for most dudes do not have game, okay? Most dudes are calling pre-selection game because that dude that walked in that bar told her friends, hey, that dude's fine as hell. I didn't say if he was tall. I didn't say if he was short. But some women will just see a motherfucker and be like, I want to fuck him. Now, he could talk himself out of some pussy because most likely he's going to say some stupid shit. But the less he say, the better off he is because she done already pre-selected him. He just got to ride that shit as long as he can get her away from the bar. And I was talking about short-term mating. That's
exactly. And all this stemmed from, we got to get out of this I'm right, you wrong shit. Like, there is a lot of times where that needs to be done because things need two diametrically opposed opinions need to be basically hashed out. But really, it wasn't somebody's right, somebody's wrong. I definitely agree with what you're saying, Obsidian, as far as people, nobody disagrees with that because we've all seen that. Everybody has had a girlfriend and seen it. They get different looks if they see they with a girl. I could go put on a wedding band right the fuck now and basically do an experiment. So that's not wrong. And then what he said is right. But what he was saying is absolutely true. Now, we can disagree as far as that's not pre-selection and that's pre-qualification. But I'm telling you right now, and it ain't just black. Fuck black. Take black women off the table. Latin women, if a man fits a woman's preferences, it doesn't matter if he's with a man or not. Now, it's very true that, you know what, I'll take that back. Sure, you got women like Nicole Murphy that they're home wrecking type of females and they get off on fucking unavailable men. Yes, you have that. And yes, it goes without saying that if you make it so a man, all things being equal, if a man is in a relationship, it will elevate his points with general women populace. So nobody's saying that's wrong. But it is damn true too that if you fit the physical criteria, regardless of that may be, because it does vary of a woman, that you are in fact pre-selected because you don't have to do shit to get
Ed, here's another layer, Ed. Okay, now let's talk about the pre-selection from another angle, because Obsidian's not wrong.
Well, and let me say this, and I'm done too. The reason why I'm making a distinction between that and why they're both important is because if somebody's listening, Obsidian, what you're saying is actionable intelligence, and what Sigma is saying is actionable intelligence as well. To say, okay, I'm right and then he's wrong, and this is why, is to dismiss what he's saying. And really, I'm gonna keep it all the way real. Probably what Sigma said is gonna be something that a dude on the ground is gonna see probably more. Because he's going to see that regardless if he's in a relationship or not, versus what you're saying is only going to apply if you are in a relationship. This is why dudes have females for wing men, by the way. It's because what you're talking about. So I know exactly what you're talking about, but go ahead.
I was going to add another pre-selection angle to it is that, let's say, for example, a woman has had, you ever notice that sometimes you'll meet a woman and all her exes kind of look alike? And you'll say, these people they don't even know each other, because sometimes women will have a good experience with a certain kind of man that has a certain kind of look to him, a certain kind of build, a certain kind of walk, and just off that alone, she would qualify him above other men in the environment.
Well, that's the imprint. That's what that is.
The imprint. So it's women that often have an imprint from one kind of guy, and he might have intoxicated and stigmatized her. That any dude that fits that kind of imprint, physical, that off jump, she will just pre-qualify him and pre-select him, and he can talk himself in or out or just go with the flow. That's what I was trying to say.
And a lot of these females don't even, that's why when a lot of shit Obsidian says, when he says it, a lot of these women, they know what he's saying is right, but it's something emotionally about it that makes them want to combat it because they just can't accept that. Because, you know, with women, they believe you like what you like and it's all magic. So when you come with the academic part of it, it's seen as you know, you're dismissing that, which it needs to be fucking dismissed because
hold on. I mean, unless I missed something in the last 10, 15 minutes, what exactly was it that y'all disagreed on?
Well, they did. Well, the only thing was that it was being said, just to keep it simple, is what Sigma was talking about, where a woman can pre-select you or based on looks. That takes a back seat. I'm being nice about it. That takes a back seat to you being with somebody. So the science says that you being with somebody, that's more of what pre-qualification actually is than actually you fitting the physical requirements of what a woman wants, to the point to where they see you, they would be willing to say, unless he fucks it up and says some goofy shit.
So that one, this disclaimer line about black women being the exception that proves the rule, how does that fit into that?
And I don't even know if that's the exception is obscene things, because I've been on spring break with my buddies and we didn't do no talking to these hoes. You're walking on the beach, you got your shit cut up after 3 or 4 months in the gym, you ain't saying nothing. They're walking up to you. That dude looks good to me. His body's looking right. He look like he can fuck good. I'm him. To me, that's pre-selection.
So hold on, Sigma. So on spring break, are there, so for the you know, so that, to your point, as far as the pre-selection based on looks, but would you expect on spring break there, you know, are there guys there with wedded bands? So there are guys there without wedded bands on spring break?
Nah, pretty much everyone doesn't have a wedding band on spring break.
Exactly. So that whole marketplace wouldn't be like a good sampling.
But I'm talking about even here in America,
because on spring, I mean, you were talking kids. These are kids there.
I mean, I know females at my job. I know females at my fucking job that, you know, they, because of my height, it was until I got those first 2 bitches that the fucking domino. So I know exactly what Obsidian is talking about. There's a lot of females that you'll be like right there on the edge, and they won't fuck with you until they see somebody else is fucking with you that they see are equal or greater than them. That's another thing too.
Another way to attract women though.
You just an alpha chick, and when I say an alpha chick, I'm talking about a female that other females want to be.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I know it. So I'm not saying it's just a.
He's not wrong about what
he's talking about.
He's not wrong about the social proof, but that's a part of it as well.
Exactly.
I'm saying that, like, to downplay the physical, especially. Here's the thing: we are in a hookup culture. These women go on fucking Instagram and Tinder. In fact, people that are very successful on Tinder will tell you the more you say on Tinder, the harder it is. Versus, all you gotta do is put 2 or 3 pictures on there of you in a social setting, working out, and some other picture with friends. And if you look good enough, that's all they care about. You can fuck her that night. Now, if you're talking about the long term, I'm gonna have to go more with Obsidian on the long term, yes. But I'm talking about lust. And our society right now is operating off lust. And when you talk about Black America, which is what the whole conversation was really about, their damn near whole culture is built on lust and not.
And that's why these chicks are getting buyer's remorse, and they're trying to go into what I call the certified pre-owned market and try and act like they say, no, bitch, buy here, pay here is the best you gonna offer. Your credit is fucked. You know, babies, kids, STDs, weight, like shit.
There you go, Ed. You always got the good terminology. You said buyer's remorse. See, that's what we're talking about. Obsidian is dealing more with the buyer's remorse part. See, he's talking about more of the back end stuff that, yes, that shit becomes real important to that woman after she done got them guts beaten into oblivion and she got 2 or 3 kids in her and the fuck boys are gone. That's when Obsidian talking about the status and the money and the competency. That's when those women start talking like that. This tends to be women that are over the age of 28. I've noticed in my own life. Women over 28, they start thinking like that. But when you're talking about women in their sexual
those are the ones that are smart. Like usually it's women when they're like 34, 35. Now, some of these dumb chicks are waiting till they 40 and still ain't really figured that shit out. That's that Real Housewives bullshit. So it's crazy. Like the Sierra is like a chick in her 20s. Kim K was in like 28, 29 and said, maybe I need to circle back to Kanye to kind of retire out this bitch. So it's sad. Anyway, Prim, you want to say something?
Yeah, okay, Shaker. So I'm playing devil's advocate here with you,
Yeah.
using one example that you said in a conversation I heard earlier today on Gap thing. Is that so? What? And I know you've heard this thing 1,000 times before. So what's your response to folks who say, "Well, you guys, to your comment about being on spring break, being select, being chosen, banging girls out, they having your way with them, not having a problem with, with."
Hey, turn your volume up, Preem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I can hear you.
As far as you not having an issue with women banging them out on spring break or whatever, what do you say to the argument that the same guys who talk about how promiscuous they are with women, in their younger age or in the 20s, yet chastise those same women when those women get 30 and they want to change their ways and go ahead and settle down? Well, it's like, didn't you create that monster? Didn't you create the monster that you're kind of calling out right now? So what do you say to that argument?
My answer to that argument, I'm gonna throw in there. It's simple. I don't really dismiss females necessarily for body counts. I don't ask, but if you got kids, I don't want to hear that shit. So next question, because these chicks are operating with like 50, 70 body counts, and dudes ain't. That's not what dudes are complaining about. Dudes are complaining about the fucking kids.
Well, going back, answering the question for you, Preem, from my standpoint is that I don't think it's the men like the Obsidians that are the ones that are doing that. I think it's a small group of men in Western society that are doing a lot of fucking. And I got this from college. When I was in undergrad, we knew, bro, the jocks, the fraternity dudes, the dudes with charisma and money, we had a monopoly. Let me explain. It was to the point in undergrad where we would be at parties and
I know the life very well.
Yeah. So
he's like, I know the life very well.
So when you talk about the body count thing, the dudes that are turning these women out like that, this ain't the majority of men. This is probably less than 1/3 of the male population in the West that's fucking almost all the women. So that's how I would respond to that, is that I don't think it's the dudes like a Obsidian that are the ones that can say, well, I'm the one that, was fucking like I had a body count of 100 women or nothing like that. He has a different argument. You would have to talk to strictly the 1/3 or less of black men and white men that are actually banging all these women. It ain't a big number of dudes doing it. That's the crazy part about it.
Well, the whole thing is any guy given the opportunity is gonna take a woman up on a one-night stand. If he can go and do that. So if that was and every guy had his way, then what do you say to men, generally speaking, when they're like, okay, I'm ready to settle down now? You look at the pool of women that are available, you realize, hey, we all ran through all these women because they gave us what we wanted. They didn't tell us no. So what do you say?
I think that what you're saying is a good point, because I think what we're talking about is the battle of the sexes that's always going to go on. That is always going on, is that men want hoes to fuck, and they want a good girl and the most virginal woman they can find to marry, and that's always going.
But is that really? But I get what you're saying, though. But that is not the complaints that do you ain't heard the body count argument in a manosphere. You have not heard the body count argument. The argument is the fucking kids. So you can have a hell of a body count, because let's be clear here, just because you got kids, that usually means you got a couple of abortions behind.
I've heard the body count
argument. But it's not. That's not the premier argument. No, it's the kid argument.
I think Preem is right on this one, because we can't deny the fact that a lot of men do feel that if we look at it it's been proven by science. So we know that every man that deposits semen in a woman, that shit is there 1,000 years later. Then you got brothers that talk about the imprinting issue. So the bonding issue, this has been proven by science. The more sexual partners a woman has, the less likely she gets bond.
I get what you're saying. So let me say it this way. This is what I would say to my cousins. My cousin, this is exactly what I say to my cousins. You have every right to do what the fuck you want to do for whatever reason you want to do it. You have every right. This country gives you every right to deny a dude for any reason and every reason. Every woman don't got that right across the globe, right? But at the same time, so does that man. So this is where I would go back to what BGS says about, assigned marriages and going back to those 3 solutions that he was fucking talking about shotgun babies and shit like that. So unless you're willing to put your shit down as to your agency and your ability to move into society and be free and hot girl summer shit, then this shit where you think you're not old shit. A man ain't old shit, but it's easier for me to tell Preem and Sigma and Obsidian that you ain't old shit. You gotta earn what you have. Like Jada Black was talking about that. He was talking about how, you know, women in the WNBA feel like they're fucking owed any kind of level of money that what the NBA players get, even though the NBA supplements the WNBA fucking A.
Right.
But then they want to, but they don't talk about earning shit. They don't never
economics. But you got to understand, though, there were these women that are making these arguments. They don't think in terms of economics. They think in terms of social justice.
No, absolutely, and that's obvious because they said it. They said it with the equality.
Yeah, they think about things in terms of social justice, and emotionalism, and identity politics. They don't have a ground in economics.
But my point too is women have the advantage in the early, like what I would tell my cousins is you have the advantage early on in life, but later on in life, the men will have and keep the advantage when it comes to somebody's sexual dating life, because dudes can amplify their economics, dudes can keep their bodies right. The wall does not affect men in the same way as it affects women in the same kind of time scales. And so that balances out. So if you were to say, well, these dudes want me to do this, want me to be chaste, but they're running through these bitches. I'm like, you know what? That's patriarchal privilege. The reality of the situation is those dudes that can actually demand that in the marketplace can demand it. And at the end of the day, you don't matter if you fucking think it's right or wrong. It is. Just like there's a hell of a lot of shit that y'all can do that y'all should not be able to do. Y'all can knock a bitch out, not go to jail. I knock a bitch out, I'll be on a list for the rest of my fucking life.
Or you can murder someone and get a hug. You can murder someone and get a hug from the judge.
Exactly. So my point is, so just like how white women got white privilege, but white does crack early. So I mean, at the end of the day, my point is because the wall is undefeated. So at the end of the day, that's what it is. So from an outcome standpoint, this is what I would tell my female cousins. If you want to hold on to that, your outcomes are going to be fucking trash, because life and genetics, the shit y'all talking about, genetics and evolution, that don't give a fuck about what you talking about. Just like how I am 5'5", evolution don't give a fuck about that. It don't give a fuck about how fair it is. It's better. You better make up for it by being cunning. A nigga, your genetics gonna get washed. And that's the same thing with these females as far as their outcomes, as far as their value. So yeah, Preem, you made an excellent point. And unfortunately, you know, these females would not usually, very few women are actually smart enough to even make that point. But at the same time, the niggas you want have the privilege of doing that. And guess what? What the fuck you gonna do? That's the big, and I'm gonna say this and I'm done. That's the video model rule. The video model rule to me is women will say, oh, this is degrading. You know, back in the day, this is degrading. But it's like, look at that that line. That line is going around the fucking corner. A lot of them chicks look better than you. You just here because you fucked. So guess what? If you don't do it, they will. So for the dudes that can actually do that, or they build up the money and status to do that, because that's another thing that'll get talked about either, just to segue to another conversation. This goes back into what more Obsidian was talking about with success. Is the same black men that quote unquote select, or the quote unquote fuck boys, are the same black men that will get mad if you start playing big bank versus little bank on their ass and say, okay, I'm about to terraform the environment to favor money. Then those same niggas got a problem, and they'll sit there and start calling it a whole bunch of names, tricky, whatever. And I'm not even talking about tricky. I'm talking about just creating a lifestyle that basically is magnetic enough that, you know, broke bitches don't want it and blah, blah. Not necessarily giving money, direct money. They'll start getting mad because that's an arena they can't compete in. And Preem, I know you know about this because you talk about finance, and you know how black men get when it's time to talk about finance. Now this is where white supremacy is comes out, the big bad daddy of white supremacy, even though when we talk about pussy, you never hear nothing about white supremacy. But anyway, I'll let y'all give y'all final thoughts on this stuff, and then we'll hang it up.
Have me on, bro. I appreciate it. I think that this is what I'm saying. These kind of conversations that we're having are very good. They're very necessary, and it forces everyone to rethink, you know, our preconceived notions about things when you hear some new information. So this is the kind of panels and the kind of discussions that we should continue having. I don't see why people feel like it's a personal thing. It's not a personal thing for me to disagree with Ed or Preem or Obsidian. It's about polishing our talking points and trying to get to a stronger truth and get the closest to the truth that gets the best results so that we can actually solve problems in a constructive way. So, everyone have a good Friday, and chat with you guys next time.
Yeah. You notice how we got through that without a fuck you nigga, bitch ass nigga, you can't get no pussy ass nigga, and it was still actually interesting to have the fucking conversation? Just saying, guys. Anyway, Preem.
Yeah, just one really quick thought on the value, the sexual marketplace value. Gab called a little issue with me today because I said he was disingenuous because he was talking about a woman's worth and a woman's value, in the marketplace, and he kind of tied it into her ability to be a mother, to be a wife, to raise family, and that's where value is. And I said, hold on, Gab, I gotta call you out on this shit right here because you're making an argument for Black women that they don't even make for themselves as it pertains to how they determine their own value. For the last couple of years, up to present day and moving forward, Black women, you hear them stating they're tying their value to their economic status, as well as their college degrees or whatever. So they're basing their value, even in the arguments when they say they can't find men on their level. They aren't saying because we're cooperative, because we're motherly, because we're compassionate, because we're God-fearing, because we want to raise a family. They're saying they can find someone on their level based on this criteria being education, which is
was he African American? I asked that because that sounds like something an African dude would say if I was in NC State, because they're applying like what they see is values and virtuous and projecting that, but maybe they weren't. I'll just say that's not the play nothing or anything.
It was Gab saying this. Gab was saying,
shit.
That the values of Black women, are things like
I'm trying to help them out.
And I said, hold on, Gab, you're being disingenuous because how can you champion these values for Black women when they aren't even doing it for themselves? They're basing their values on their economic, on economics, their earnings or their college degrees. And when it comes down to it, men in general, those things are valueless to men. So to the type of men that they're looking for, that they think are on their level, they don't give a shit about that. Those things are worthless to them. Those things are like down on the list to them if they even register, on the list to them. So as it comes to the whole, statement as far as value, I mean, it's all fucked up, and it's just going to continue to go south. I had a conversation today with a family member, a young one, who's a very high performance female, but she spent the first 30 years, some odd years of her life, pursuing her career, and she's prevalent, in it. She's top shelf, she's kicking ass, but she kind of came to me today like, I think I'm done dating this, that, or whatever. And I said, hey, you probably should be, because, and I was just being honest with her, because there's no way career-wise that she can find, someone in her age group, in her young, early 30s. But what I did tell her to do, I said, if you really want to go ahead and do the family thing, kids and this and that, whatever, you better be looking at an older guy and leverage your youth right now. Because the only way you can leverage your youth as a 30-year-old woman is by dating an older guy. Because you can't compete with a 20. So if you're gonna stay in if you're gonna have second thoughts, if you're not gonna go ahead and hang it up and just be all about your career, which, I mean, I'm just being a realist. You can't quit because you're too far in. If you're gonna even think about exploring the dating thing again, stop dating these millennial guys, because I don't think you can compete in that market anymore. You need to date an older guy over 40.
You said it like that.
Or his first marriage, but you need to leverage your 30-year-old youth. And I'm doing air quotes, while you can, and hurry the fuck up.
He said you can't compete in that market anywhere. That's what you said to your cousin. No, I can understand it. I mean, I probably would have said, like, what are you dating for? Are you dating a fuck, or you dating for a long-term relationship? I'm dating for a relationship. Well, the dude you choosing, does it look like that's what they gonna give you? Well, but no, you probably had to say it just like that.
Yeah. But thanks again, you brothers. Have a good afternoon.
All right. And peace out, man. And Obsidian, so you got any final words, final thoughts? I don't even know if he's still here. Obsidian always bringing the battleground, man. He's like the mobile operating station. Yeah, I mean, yeah, y'all should like the video. It's free. It helps out. You know, yeah, Obsidian popped off. So anyway, man, yeah, like I said, I'm not even trying to play nobody because, like, shout out to the Rumble. But I'm just saying, you know, dudes like, and again, the Rumble is to be Rumble. I mean, like, you know, Grinch. I mean, I fuck with Obsidian, so I mean, I get, I get it, but I mean, really, if you want to go at Obsidian directly, I mean, why don't you schedule? I mean, I'm sure they'll make good cannon fodder. Let's, make that shit happen. You know what I'm saying? But Obsidian is not afraid to debate anybody. But yeah, I'm like, I get it, but shit. Well, one thing, dude, you got to understand about me is, and this is about giving people a lot of center of thought and stuff to really think about and going deeper as to what they need to go to. Because I know a lot of y'all here to see other people, so the shit will stop to drop because it's just me. I know what my numbers are, but yeah, but I'm making it very clear I do fuck with Obsidian, so so it is what it is. But let me see. Any y'all got some quick comments? All right, y'all. Well, I definitely appreciate y'all following me. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, because I know some of y'all ain't on my stuff. So shout me out with that. I'm gonna start trying to do different have different panels and stuff like that. Have interesting conversations. I am trying to get this blog off the ground and shit like that. So anyway, with that being said, this is Edward signing off. Peace.